Hi, it's Future from Sewmate. Welcome to my channel. If you want to see how I make this beautiful loose fitting t-shirt, please stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do, and make sure to turn on your notification bell so that each time I upload new videos you get notified. So this is going to be a sewing and pattern making tutorial for a loose fitting t-shirt. You will need your easy fitting t-shirt block pattern to do this. I've got a tutorial on this channel on how you can make one. I'll leave a link in the description below and the link above as well. So starting with the back, trace around your block as usual, making sure to mark all the notches. Lift your block. Lengthen your t-shirt to your desired length. I'm adding 5 centimeters. And adding a hem allowance of 2 centimeters. Now measuring 2 centimeters parallel to my original neckline for my neckband, which is 2 centimeters. Outlining my shoulder seam allowance, mine is 7 millimeters. And squaring up from the seam allowance there. Now we're going to be measuring along this seam from the center back to the neck shoulder junction like I'm doing here, and writing the measurement down. And labeling the pattern, back t-shirt, cut 1 on fold, and I put my initial. So the center back is going to be on fold. And adding my grain line parallel to the center back. Adding notches to the pattern and cutting around the pattern. So our back pattern's finished. Now we're moving on to the front. Trace around your block, making sure to mark all your notches. Lift your block. Now lengthening my t-shirt 5 centimeters again, adding my hem allowance 2 centimeters like we did with the back. I'm going to be lowering the center front neckline by 2 centimeters. And I'm going to be squaring a line down at the neck shoulder junction there. Joining these 2 points nicely with a nice curve. And outlining my shoulder seam allowance 7 millimeters. So this part of our neckline is not included. Now I'm drawing in my neckband width 2 centimeters parallel to the new neckline that we just lowered. And measuring along this line from center front to neck shoulder junction, like I'm doing here. Write the measurement down. So center front is going to be on fold. And labeling the pattern, front t-shirt, cut 1 on fold, and I put my initial. Adding notches to the pattern and adding my grain line parallel to the center front. Now cutting around the pattern. So our front t-shirt is finished. Now we're moving on to making the neckband. So you will need back your front and back neck measurements that we took before. Add them together and multiply by 2 for the whole neckline. Now to get a perfect fit for our neckband, we'll need to subtract 1/7 from the total neck measurement, okay? So, which means 59 centimeters for me minus 59 divided by 7, okay? So I'm just gonna make all these calculations. As you can see here, I think it's pretty clear for you to follow along, okay? So 8.42 is the measurement that I got after dividing my neck length by 7, okay? So 59 minus 8.42, I get 50.58, and then I'm gonna round it off to 51. Then you need to decide on your neckband width. Mine is 2 centimeters, so multiply that by 2, and then I get 4 centimeters. So we're going to basically draw a rectangle of 51 centimeters multiplied by 4, okay? Let's do that now. First, draw a straight line. I'm using 51 centimeters for me. Use your own calculation. Square on both ends and just draw in 4 centimeters there. Now adding my seam allowances right round. I'm using 7 millimeters since I'm using an overlocker. Adding notches to my pattern piece and labeling the pattern neckband. Cut 1 and I put my initial and adding a grain line in the center of my pattern piece. Now cutting around the pattern. So my neckband piece is finished as well. Now we're moving on to the sleeve. We're going to be using this easy fitting t-shirt sleeve block pattern. I'll leave a link in the description below as well. So trace around your block from elbow notch to elbow notch, since this is going to be a short sleeve. Draw in your elbow line and your grain line. Now I'm just going to shorten my sleeve by 2 centimeters. Draw a straight line. Now fold back along this new hemline. And cut around the pattern so we can get a nice shaping for that hem. Outlining my notches and labeling the pattern. T-shirt sleeve. Cut 1 pair and I put my initial. So we'll still use the original grain line. And my sleeve patterns finished. Now all the t-shirt patterns are finished and we're moving on to sewing. Now moving on to sewing our t-shirt, what you need are your completed patterns, your fabric and your cutting tools. For the fabric, I'm using this beautiful jersey knit fabric. Let's start cutting our fabrics now. Now all our pattern pieces are cut and ready to sew. So the first thing we're going to do is to take our front and back patterns, lay them one on top of the other, right sides facing. Now pin along the shoulders. Take this to the overlocker and just overlock along the shoulder seams here. If you are using a sewing machine, make sure to use a zigzag stitch so that it stretches along as you wear it. And whilst we're there, we're also going to take our neckband piece, fold it back, right sides facing, pin along the seam. Now we're going to take this to the serger again and just sew along this seam here. If you are using a sewing machine, again, just use a zigzag stitch with this one too. Let's go and do that. Okay, now with your t-shirt right side facing up like this, we're going to go ahead and grab our sleeve pieces, and we're going to go ahead and align them along the armholes. Okay, make sure you've got the right sleeve for the armhole using your notches. So we'll take this to the overlocker again and sew along the armhole seams. If you are using a sewing machine, continue using a zigzag stitch. Let's do that. Okay, now so that's done. So we're gonna go ahead and just fold the t-shirt back on itself, right sides facing now. Okay, matching the side seams. And we're going to go ahead and pin along from the sleeve hem all the way down to the top hem, okay, for both sides. Now take this to the overlocker and sew along the side seams for both sides. If you are using a sewing machine, continue using your zigzag stitch. Let's do that. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and turn our t-shirt to the right side. Next, divide your neckline into quarters. So first I'm going to go ahead and put a pin on the seam here. Then I'm just gonna go ahead and fold it nice and flat and put another seam halfway. Then align the two pins together to get the other quarters. Now get your neckband, fold it into half lengthwise and divide it into quarters as well and put pins. Make sure your edges are well aligned. Next, align the two pins together. And put the other two pins on. Now I'm gonna go ahead and push the neckline through the neckband and align my pins together and pin along. Now we take this to the overlocker and sew along the neckline, making sure that we'll be stretching the neckband to fit the neckline. Okay, let's go and do that. So the neckline is done, and the last thing I'm gonna do is to go ahead and give it a top stitching just to make sure that this seam stays down. Okay, Then I'm gonna finish off sewing my hems for the t-shirt and for the sleeves. Okay, so just overlock right round, and then we're gonna give them a twin needle stitching. Let's go and do that. And my t-shirt is finished and I'm happy with the result. Thank you.